again say that we will reiterate our strong support and solidarity with the UK this afternoon. We fully stand by the common EU position, and we share the UK's assessment that it's highly likely that Russia is responsible. We see no other plausible alternative explanation to this. The UK also has every right to carry out their independent investigation without any external interference, and we will call on Russia to answer to the questions that the UK has put to them. The UK's approach is also in full conformity with the Chemical Weapons Convention, and we welcome the UK's cooperation with the ongoing investigation by the OPCW. For us, it would have been natural to have this discussion once that investigation and the report is out, which we understand will be shortly. And just to say also that we will continue, of course, to follow this issue closely in the Council and elsewhere. But as I said, I think it would have been more natural to have this discussion once we've had the report by the OPCW. And from our perspective, the UK is cooperating in a proper manner with OPCW and in accordance with the convention.
Well, Ambassador, what do you make of the Russian ambassador deputy ambassador talking about consequences?
I haven't seen. I don't want to comment on that issue. The focus of today is, of course, on the serious incident.
Why do you think they called the meeting?
We had a meeting in the OPCW yesterday on this issue, as you know. I have no idea actually why we're having the meeting today, but as I said, we will use this occasion to express full solidarity and support for the UK in line with the common EU position. Thank you.
We condemned the despicable act in Salisbury 2 weeks ago. We fully support the investigation by the United Kingdom. We welcome the fact that the OPCW is providing technical assistance. And we feel very strongly that certainly the Russian Federation has to cooperate with the investigation because the perpetrators have to be brought to justice. And that's what I'll be saying this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Hi, nice to see you again. No, I made a statement earlier. I don't think we need to make another statement. But if you have a question, I'm happy to answer it.
Want to work with Moriarty in there?
You think Ambassador Nebenzia looks like Moriarty? That's interesting. Apparently, Sherlock Holmes is a very popular Russian show. And there are even some people on the internet who think the best Sherlock Holmes is a Russian actor, and his name is Vassily. So maybe you want to ask Ambassador Nebenzia about that.
Intelligence agents from some countries were behind this.
I said it was highly likely. I was making the same allegation as was made against us.
What countries were you talking about?
I was not mentioning any countries. Did you notice?
I noticed, but
Yes.
that's why
because
I
we do not make allegations. If we know something, we say it, but we don't make it. We don't make allegations like some other countries make allegations against us.
Ambassador, have you gotten anything about the statement that the UK has the actual lab where the poisoning was developed?
What do you mean?
That the Times of London reported that
Oh yeah. You mean in Russia?
Yes.
Oh look, now they are looking for after what happened yesterday with the tweet and with the statement of Gary Aikenhead. They started to look for some new scenarios, and they immediately invented a lab. Suddenly it came up, popped up from nowhere. It was never mentioned before, and they were referring to Yasenevo. Yasenevo is the place where the headquarters of the Russian intelligence is, and that's ridiculous because this is the last place where something like that would be developed.
And what did you mean?
And that's very telling. That's very telling that they chose this specific
place. Could you just
place.
say what did you mean? They'll be sorry.
That'll be, what do you mean?
The UK will
because
be
because
sorry.
if you go blasphemous, and if it turns out, a normal person should be sorry for that,
Why
right?
did you use the phrase about Goebbels being 6 million and more died in World War II?
No, Dr. Goebbels was quite notorious for his statements that became kind of very well known. One of the phrases was that he was saying that a lie repeated 1,000 times becomes truth. I was just referring that we see similarities with what is happening today.
Ambassador, why would you think a third party? Why would you think a third party would orchestrate such an attack, like a foreign government? What do you think was the purpose of
Look, I listed what the purpose would be: to legitimize Russia, to discredit it, to put a question on its role in international politics, in settlement of international disputes. There are many collateral nice things that could happen with this defaming. You know.
Mr. Ambassador, what happened to the statement that you referred to at the end that you were putting to the Security Council to try and...
In your reaction?
You mean the press statement?
The press statement.
It is on the procedure, on the silence procedure until 5:30 p.m. So we still.
What does it say? What does it say?
It calls for it refers to the respect to the Convention on Chemical Weapons, and then calls for effective investigation under the Convention of Chemical Weapons provisions. Nothing more than that.
Mr. Ambassador, do you think there is disputes between Russia, Iran, and Turkey now after the meeting in Istanbul about the future of Syria? What's going on?
What
Can
kind
you
of
brief us
disputes are you referring to? What kind of disputes? I didn't get it.
about the presence of the Kurdish forces in Afrin and the...
I don't have any
opposed to
accounts of
that?
the disputes. There was a discussion on the issue, but I'm not aware of any disputes on that.
Mr. Ambassador, you called the attack, this whole thing, a mega provocation.
The facts tell us that this is a mega provocation.
Did you also call it a fabrication, because that word was also used in the English translation?
I didn't say fabrication in Russian.
You said mega provocation. Thank you.
Have our statement translated and put on the website.
The translation said.
Shaking was the document actually by the UK that they presented as an evidence of the Russian complicity, and that was first initially showed up with the British ambassador in Moscow, who shared it with his colleagues there. But I presume something of the sort was also presented by Theresa May to her colleagues in the European Union, and to some of these issues the British ambassador referred to today as well.
There was no new document.
I don't think so. At least nothing that I know. There is nothing new. There is nothing new. There is only one demand from us: confess. That's it. No questions.
Do you expect any more expulsion of diplomats? Have you heard of any other countries, Japan or others?
No.
Thinking, no?
Did you enjoy those exchanges?
We're reading Alice in Wonderland, rereading.
Everyone is now going to reread Alice in Wonderland. I know we've asked for the Russian ambassador's library list, but in retaliation or in return, we are, of course, going to be dusting off our copies of War and Peace, Animal Farm, and 1984.
So where does this go? I mean, do you think the Russians are going to come up with other than another narrative, as you said?
Well, I hope not, because it's just a distraction from the work of the CWC and the OPCW. I think there was strong support on the Council for following OPCW and the Conventional Weapons Convention and sticking to that and not going off down tangents and other alleyways. I think there was also a lot of support for the UK domestic investigation, the police investigation, and that's exactly as it should be, I think. This is a crime committed on UK soil. Of course it's up to us to investigate, and everything we have done has been consistent with the principles of the Conventional Weapons Convention, Chemical Weapons Convention.
Was it heartwarming that almost every other country on the Council supported you?
I wouldn't call it heartwarming, because it's not the sort of issue that ought to be heartwarming, but I think we were very pleased, A, that so many members saw the Russian move as a distraction, B, the seriousness with which all members of the Council took the use of CW in Europe, first time since the end of the Second World War, and thirdly, their concern for the victims. We were very pleased at that, and of course we'll pass that back.
The Russian ambassador had very specific questions, even down to what happened to the cats in the house, and the guinea pigs. Yes.
Well,
what's your reaction to those very specific questions that he posed today?
I think he was trying to build a narrative that somehow things have not gone in the right way, and that we are somehow hiding information or not doing things legitimately under the CWC. I think the support we got from other members of the Council show that only Russia has that concern, to be honest.
Vassily Nebenzia said he doesn't expect any more diplomats to be expelled. Is he wrong?
I'm not going to answer that. You know, we keep these things under review, as I said this morning.
The OPCW, are they going to say that it's Russia or Greenland or whoever? Do they point to the country?
The OPCW does an independent technical assessment of the samples.
Of what? Where they came from?
They do a technical assessment of the samples. We'll have to see what they say. It is not the role of that fact-finding part to attribute state responsibility. But I find it deeply ironic and, to be honest, offensive that here are the Russians blocking, and they blocked again yesterday, the use of an investigative mechanism in Syria, and then they try and distort what's happening in the OPCW to call for an investigation when we already have a very adequate and complex investigation going on in the UK. In fact, it's more than ironic. I think it's grotesque that they block investigation into CW use in Syria while preaching it in the Salisbury case. Thanks very much.
Thank you.